Internal Revenue Service IRS Tax News. IRS Chief Counsel goes virtual with National Settlement Days, helps dozens of taxpayers settle their tax court cases. IR 2020-112, June 4, 2020, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service Office of Chief Counsel is expanding its virtual settlement days program after the tremendous success achieved by three offices that took Settlement Days events virtual in May 2020. Settlement Days events are coordinated efforts to resolve cases in the United States tax court by providing taxpayers not represented by counsel the opportunity to receive free tax advice from Low Income Taxpayer Clinics, LITC, American Bar Association, ABA, volunteer attorneys, and other pro bono organizations. Taxpayers who also discuss their tax court cases and resolved related tax issues with members of the IRS Office of Chief Counsel, the Independent Office of Appeals and Collection. By doing so, unrepresented taxpayers are often able to amicably settle their tax disputes without a trial. In response to office closures and social distancing requirements, the Office of Chief Counsel quickly shifted its Settlement Days events to a virtual environment. Settlement Days events have traditionally been held in person, requiring LITC staffers, pro bono attorneys, and taxpayers to travel to the designated meeting location. Virtual Settlement Days events take advantage of WebEx audio-visual conferencing software to allow taxpayers to join events from any location, including their homes. The Office of Chief Counsel first announced this shift to virtual settlement days on May 5th, 2020. See IR-2020-87. There's a link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description. As part of that, virtual settlement days events were held on May 9th in Detroit in conjunction with University of Michigan Law School LITC, and May 21st in Atlanta in conjunction with the North Georgia Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. Quote, "The response to these programs has been overwhelming, and it encourages us to expand this initiative to help more people," end quote, said IRS Chief Counsel Mike Desmond. The Detroit office expanded its event to 8 days. The Atlanta office expanded to 2 events, and in May, and one in May and one in June. Between them, the Detroit and Atlanta offices resolved the cases of more than 50 taxpayers. And now the Office of Chief Counsel is expanding virtual settlement days to other offices and hosting events more frequently. Quote, "Virtual settlement days represent a continuing effort by the IRS to deliver meaningful resolution options to taxpayers, especially during these difficult times," end quote. IRS Commissioner Chuck Reddick said, quote, "Virtual options represent an addition to traditional methods of communication and resolution, not a replacement. The IRS strives to assist every taxpayer, including many who do not have the ability to interact in virtual environment. The IRS is open to innovative approaches like the virtual settlement days to help people. We welcome comments from taxpayers and others regarding additional methods by which the IRS can ease the burdens on people of our country facing tax issues," end quote. The Office of Chief Counsel's Los Angeles office held its first virtual settlement day on May 26th and now has also events scheduled for June 5th, 9th, 19, and 23. As well as July 7th, 17, and 21. The Los Angeles office is working with 6 different LITCs to support these events. The Atlanta office also has additional events scheduled for June 16th and 17th. The Office of Chief Counsel's Washington, D.C. office is inviting more than 60 unrepresented taxpayers to participate in its first virtual settlement day on June 20th in conjunction with the Catholic University Law, Columbus Community Legal Services Low Income Tax Clinic, American University Tax Janet R. Spriggan's Federal Tax Clinic, and Morgan Lewis Center for Public Interest Tax Law and Legal Services of Northern Virginia. Quote, "The success of virtual settlement days is only possible thanks to the strong partnership between the Office of Chief Counsel, LITCs, and pro bono attorneys," end quote, Desmond said. The Office of Chief Counsel looks forward to organizing more virtual settlement days in the coming weeks. The IRS encourages unrepresented taxpayers with active tax court cases to contact the assigned Chief Counsel attorney or paralegal about participating in a virtual settlement days event. If a taxpayer's case is currently under the consideration by the IRS Independent Office of Appeals, the taxpayer should contact the assigned appeals officer to discuss case resolution.